Hello everyone, and welcome to another Transformers review. As you can see, I've gone very much back into G1 with this and the upcoming reviews. I thought it was about time that I got around to doing the constructicons. What really sort of reminded me that I should really have sort of started doing these, where I'd actually said to some of the other YouTubers that I was actually going to sort of do them, was getting the modern Devastator set from my last boot fair sort of haul. And it reminded me that I had said to Luke Action Jackman that I was going to review these because he did the Encore set, and I was going to do my originals, and then he could see any sort of differences in any mould differences, colour differences, and of course sort of the general sort of fit and appearance of the figures. So I'm going to do them as individual reviews for each figure, and then I'll do the combined mode maybe on the last one or as a separate video at the end. But starting off, I'll do them in numerical order as they were packaged. As you can see, this is G1 Bonecrusher. I'll do what I usually do and give you a look at his backing card, and sort of lovely G1 artwork again, and showing his combined mode as Devastator, and he's still got the original sticker on there from Woolworths back in, I suppose this was mid to late 80s when I got these. £6.49, so it's pretty reasonable for what you used to get back in the day. Anyway, like I say, that's his card and his nice artwork. Now on the back you got the obvious sort of like combined sort of set at the top there with the individual vehicles, and of course you get his instructions, places where to put his stickers and that. Sort of diagram for the placement of those, and of course you get his tech spec. Now I'll bring that in and let that finish getting in focus, so if you want to read up on him you can pause that. And of course back in this time they were still doing the red decoder type specifications on him, but yeah, pretty much standard backing card for back in G1. The difference with these ones, of course, is that you do see some where they were originally sort of packaged as this box set. Now, I never actually saw that first hand back when it came out, and back when these were originally in the shops. I'm not sure if they were widely sold in that way in England. I do remember vaguely, and I did ask before I actually got these from my local sort of Woolworths and that. I did ask one of my sisters when she was going to London if she'd sort of keep her eye out. She was going to go into Hamleys at the time, and I'd remembered seeing either on English TV programmes, it was either Blue Peter or Newsround, which are children's TV shows, and I'd remembered seeing in Hamleys where they'd been doing some filming to do with Christmas time and stuff like that, that I'm sure that there was a G1 Devastator box set. Now at the time I was hunting around for these anyway, and I thought, oh fantastic, if she could get the whole box set in one go, that's brilliant. I'd never seen that done before. But she did have a good look for me, but wasn't able to find them, and then consequently they eventually turned up in the local shops on backing cards individually. So this, as far as I know, was the more common way it was packaged in England, but I know in other countries they did have the box sets. But anyway, getting back to Bonecrusher himself, as you can see where I kept the backing cards, I'd even on certain Transformers I've still even got the sticker backs from the originals, so that's what the original sticker backing card looked like. He came with a few extras. The original sort of way he was packaged was Bonecrusher was obviously in this bubble down here on his own, and then you got his little laser pistol there, the little green gun, again unique to him, and sort of like this figure where they've done remoulds and reissues, I'm sure they've redone that same pistol for him. Whether they've kept the same colour or not, I'm not certain. It's not something that I'd necessarily sort of pay that much attention to. You got one of his forearms. These, I believe, are ambidextrous for the actual Devastator figure, but this one is specific for Bonecrusher, I think, because of the holes on the underside there, which, as I'll show you in a minute, they've actually got a feature when he's in vehicle mode. You've got his left fist for Devastator, and you've got one chromed sort of screw type missile. I suppose you could class it as a drill, something like that. On packaging, I won't bother moving it again now or getting it in the shot, but if you look on there, whether it'll show up where I showed you the backing card, they actually do say that the missile may not fire, that the actual, where it fits into the forearm, which is doubles up as a launcher, it may just hold it and may not launch it. Now actually they're wrong in that, because the springs inside here that clips in do work perfectly well, and it still does fire off even after all this time. Now to use this in vehicle mode, first of all put the missile back in. You just move the canopy of Bonecrusher's digger mode, bulldozer mode back slightly, and then you've got two posts here which are like the exhausts for the engine of the digger, and these two hollow posts here fit over the top of those, so you just line it up and push it on top, and then you can put the canopy back in place, and that gives him an armed digger mode. It's not brilliant, but it does give it another little bit of play sort of ability. The fact that it could be a fighting vehicle, or even if they were drilling out, as they often did, trying to get into the Ark in the G1 cartoons, you could kind of sort of like imagine it being used for that. So again, quite a nice little feature that they didn't have to put in, but thankfully they did. Now, putting these parts aside, and you have to excuse me if I sniff at all during these reviews, I've got a little bit of hay fever at the minute. I'll give you a proper look round Bonecrusher. Now, I don't know whether it's just down to age or just the sun fading where I had him on the shelf. There is a slight bit of colour difference between the two top parts there. It's not shown up greatly on the camera, but it is very slight, but I'd imagine that could be down to a little bit of sun fading. The canopy itself, now you'll notice that is quite a different colour. Now from memory that was always a little bit discoloured compared to the rest of the green effect on the rest of the figure, and I believe he's not the only one that suffers with that. I haven't had a close look at the others yet, but I'm going to review them, but it was always lighter than the main body of the bulldozer. But yeah, I should mention that. Now I'll just give you a little sort of 360 of the digger mode. It's quite a nice little mode in itself. Not the greatest of moulding details on it, so they did sort of do the tracks quite nicely, but then, you know, the scale of these figures and for the age when these guys came out, this being of course the first combiner, they're not bad. And as I say, these are all the original stickers. I haven't repro labelled or done anything with these. As you'll see, everything on this is completely original, and I'm actually very proud to sort of be able to say that. Right, now getting to his transformation, first of all you want to get the canopy out of the way. You then want to bring the sides of the top of the engine round like so. You can then bring the tracks down and round, and they're on like a metal hinge part at the bottom. At the same time you want to bring the shovel bucket of the bulldozer up, and that forms his chest, like so. You get a nice sticker detail up here from underneath. You carry on then bringing the tracks round, and they click into place, and you pull on the end of the track, and they are a little bit stiff even after all this time. Pull them down like so on a sliding joint, and then just turn them around. Now at that point they are a little bit loose, and I don't ever think they were ever that stiff. I think it was always the case that these were a little bit sort of flappy, but of course you didn't really buy the constructicons for the individual transformations such as this anyway, so I can kind of live with that. Now to finish off his arms, you turn them 90 degrees like so, so you get the metal arms showing at the front, well, metallized plastic anyway, and you then can turn them down from the shoulder and form, I suppose, sort of a weird sort of elbow arrangement. You then take the canopy part of the digger back and over onto his back, like so, and then that leaves you just to flip up this little black piece at the back. That just flips up into place, and you get his little face. And if I sort his feet out, I'll bring him in. Not the greatest, let's face it, faces, but then again, everything about this figure was really to do with his combination. And as you can see, his stickers are really minty, and again, I'm really chuffed of how well these guys have stayed in their original sort of condition. Now, of course, the only other thing you've got left to do with him in his individual mode is to put his handgun in, which will fit in either hand. If I can get it in a little tiny hole there in his fist. Now, with these figures, you didn't have obviously a lot of articulation. He does have minimal sort of leg movement. I think I don't really want to force it. I'm not sure if they move individually. Perhaps not, because this is all going from memory. Arm articulation is not too bad, but it's mainly at the shoulder, and obviously he's got the elbow movement. But it's not brilliant, let's face facts. But he can at least aim his gun of a fashion anyway. But that pretty much, as his individual robot mode, sums up Bonecrusher. Like I say, not a great deal more to him. I mean, when in this mode, his Decepticon logo goes the right way up. I'm not entirely sure why they bothered putting a sticker detail under the canopy there, because it's a bit pointless out the back there, and they didn't usually bother with detail on the backs of G1 figures, but hey ho. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic combiner figure, but very nice. And of course, Devastator and the Constructicons do hold a very special place in the heart of a lot of G1 fans, especially if you remember sort of like all the battles they had with the Dinobots. As you can see, individually they wouldn't stand a chance against the Dinobot on their own, because the Dinobots are obviously a lot bigger. These being more along the line, if I bring in a figure that I've got to hand, if I bring in a Legends size figure, you'll see not a lot bigger than a Legends class figure, but of course it's the combination side which really adds to these, and again that's something I'll get to at the end of the reviews. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that little look at Bonecrusher. The next one coming up will be Scavenger. Okay, I shall see you again for another review. Thanks for watching.